Hello and welcome to the 6th edition of Writer's Commentary for the Batman Beyond portion of DC Comics' Batman Beyond Unlimited. You can find the comic in shops or online at Comixology.com. This time out, we're covering material that appeared in print in Batman Beyond Unlimited numbers 6 and 7. If you haven't read the chapters, we don't want to spoil them for you, so pause this now. Go off and read and come back. We'll wait for you. Okay. Howard Porter drew the cover for number 6, while Dustin Nguyen did the art for the cover of number 7. I'm Adam Beechin. I'm the writer of the comic, which is drawn by Norm Breyfogle, colored by Andrew Elder, lettered by Saida Tamafonte, and edited by Jim Chadwick with assistance from Sarah Gatos. Hi again, and sorry for the long wait between commentaries, but it's been a busy summer around here with travel, a move, some family stuff, and our new dogs, who you may hear barking and or walking around in the background as we go along. But to remind you, what we do here is try to give you a look behind the scenes at how we put our comic together. Not just the physical process of how it's produced, but also the thoughts that go into it. Think of this as a DVD extra for your comic. We also answer your questions and we communicate directly with readers, whether here on the commentaries or over on the YouTube channel. You can write to us at batmanbeyondcommentary@gmail.com. We'll bring the address up on screen when we're done here, and I'll do my best to respond to you, time permitting. Right now, it's time to talk about the first two chapters of 10,000 Clowns, our biggest story to date, and certainly our biggest story since Hush Beyond. We've been building towards it for 2 years, since our last monthly series began, when our then editor Chris Conroy suggested a brother for the character of Dana in order to make her more than just a standard comic book girlfriend. As we've seen from previous issues, Doug, the brother, has turned out to be a former Joker. He's dangerously unstable, and now that he's out of jail, he's organized Joker gangs from all over the world for some unknown purpose and brought them to Gotham. And whatever purpose it is, it can't be good. The first chapter kicks off with 3 simultaneous attacks by different Joker gangs in different parts of Gotham, which gets to a fundamentally scary issue for Batman. He can't be everywhere. Occasionally over the years, other villains have tried this tactic with Batman, and it's always caused a lot of problems. Bruce has tried to address it in various ways, with robots and such, but he's never licked it. To me, it's a wonder more super crooks haven't tried it. This time, someone's got it pretty well figured out. It didn't occur to me until well after the script was written how cold Bruce sounds here, essentially writing off the water treatment plant and the poor people who work there. I thought about changing it, but then tried to think pragmatically, the way Bruce might. How would you deal with this situation? You'd have to prioritize, and someone would wind up in third position. It would suck, but with no other options immediately apparent, you have to do it. This is my favorite line in the chapter. It just seems like something a Joker would say. By the way, kudos to Norm, who's had to design and draw a bazillion Jokers, some of whom you haven't even seen yet, since this series started, and made them all look distinct and very cool. He has a hard job, and I don't make it any easier for him, and I'm grateful to Norm for not punching me. Here we're keeping alive the animated series notion of introducing a new gadget to the Batman uniform every so often. I try never to call it a costume because Bruce doesn't think of it that way. In this case, the new gadget are impact diffusers. I just want to reinforce the idea that Bruce and Terry are always refining and trying to improve the suit. I don't care who's wearing the suit, whether it's Bruce or Dick or Terry. No Batman likes kids being endangered, and they're not going to show a lot of mercy to the endangerers. Incidentally, I recently got an email from a young reader, a friend of the book and regular correspondent named Suede, asking what a craplet was. I think it means a little piece of crap. Here's the latest in the long series of Batman creators being honored by having something in Gotham City named after them. In this case, it's John Ostrander, and I apologize if I'm pronouncing the name wrong. He wrote the Great Suicide Squad book back in the 1990s, and he and his wife Kim Yale are credited with turning Barbara Gordon into Oracle. This isn't exactly the best way to end a chapter with a silent hug rather than an action cliffhanger, and I take full responsibility. As I've said in previous commentaries, this was written before we knew the book would occasionally see print in 10-page chapters, rather than the full 20-page stories, so until we really got used to the format, and you'll see the results of that in a couple more chapters, occasionally awkward chapter breaks like this happen. Ordinarily, I'd want something a lot more bang-bang to bring the reader back for the next chapter. Now we're into material that saw print in issue number 7. And here I'm addressing another pet peeve of mine when it comes to supervillains. Why do they insist on doing all their planning and skulking around in the heart of the city when they know Batman's around? Especially when you know Batman can't be everywhere at once. Doesn't it seem like common sense to stay away from Gotham until you have all your ducks in a row and you've got some kind of plan for how to deal with Batman? I mean, why run the risk of getting caught and or foiled before you have to? We'll get into more of this kind of thinking as the story plays out, but that's where my head is at. A couple things here. One is me trying to figure out why kids would join the Jokers. Joker worship is pretty obvious and brilliant, and I credit the animated series creators immensely for that. We just needed a character to articulate it. I think it's a pretty basic, reasonable way to interpret the Joker, but we also wanted to introduce the notion that there's more than one way to interpret what the Joker was all about. And there's a bunch that many creative teams have shown us brilliantly over the years, and we're going to see that come out of Doug as the story continues. Also, I love the way Norm and Andy have teamed up to make this page come alive. Doug's pose is awesome. Tired, relaxed, resigned, controlled, and coiled all at once. The stillness in the image makes him scary. The shadows of the leaves work perfectly to keep him just hidden enough to delay the payoff of seeing him in full. And Andy turns down the light not just to match the time of day, but the mood. Things are getting very dark in Gotham, and it's going to get a lot darker. Just in case you think we've forgotten about Max Gibson and her involvement with the hacker collective called Undercloud, which we've been building up also since our last monthly series, well, we haven't. Much, much more to come for her, especially after 10,000 Clowns concludes. Bruce dying of liver failure gets at something I've been dealing with in my comic book writing for a long, long time. The notion that these heroes take so much physical abuse over the years it has to take a toll. I suppose you could say guys like Batman keep it going through diet, exercise, and whatever, all natural, but I find that hard to buy given the kind of hits they take. How do you go out there night after night after night, the punching, the stabbing, the kicking piling up and up and up? I even touched on the idea back in Robin number 152, one of my first scripts for DC drawn by Freddie Williams. Eventually the bill is going to come due. That time is now for Bruce. It's a scary notion. You can't beat up this enemy or conquer it. This is something that's going to hit Terry hard. Being Batman can be a thrill, great fun, and immensely rewarding. But the inevitable end of it, however it may end, isn't likely to be pretty. And now, finally, we get to see the Joker King. When this page of art from Norm came in, we all got chills. He looks so in control, so serious and committed, and so chilling. Can I tell you how intimidating it is to bring in a character meant to carry on the tradition of the Joker? I didn't want to cop out and bring the original back. The animated series had already done that in a brilliant and unexpected way. I couldn't replace the original or have someone step into his shoes. That's a fool's game. No way could I top the original. The Joker is the best villain ever, unless you really, really like Dr. Double X. I needed a character that paid homage to the Joker, physically and philosophically, while having his own take on what it meant to inhabit the role. He had to be insane, charismatic, and threatening, but a different kind of insane, charismatic, and threatening. I decided to make the Joker King extremely thoughtful and methodical about how he intends to bring about chaos. Now those two things seem wildly different, but when you think about the Joker, it makes sense, and it makes him scary as heck. Man, thank God for Norm. I drove the poor man almost to insanity himself as he went through design after design to try and match the image I had in my head and wasn't able to articulate to him. Now these are just a fraction of the designs he did. You can see the makeup was pretty perfect from the beginning, and we all love the bow tie, earring, and shoes as nods to the original Joker. A later design brought the crown tattoo, which I think is a brilliant touch by Norm, and more of a punk look, which seemed really appropriate. From there, it was just a matter of futurizing him a little, with the jacket and zippers. The LOL tattoo may seem archaic in this future age, but since the Joker King has got a retro punk look anyway, it felt right to include. Besides, it makes for a great visual addition, as do the skull and crossbones on the tie. So all the setup for the story is now complete, and things really start exploding in Gotham in the next chapter, literally. Thanks for watching this. Thanks for supporting the book, and if you're liking it, we hope you're telling your friends about it. Again, you can send us questions at batmanbeyondcommentary@gmail.com, and you can follow me and DC Comics on Twitter, and we'll put up those handles respectively momentarily too. We hope to see you all for the next commentary. I hope that it'll be less of a break between commentaries than it was this time. Until then, thanks, and take care.